Almost 2 months after an attack at Bondi Beach that nobody was prepared for, there was no opportunity for surprises during the visit of Israel's head of state.
We were shaken to our core when we first heard about the Bondi Beach attack. Our heart missed a beat, like all Israelis and all Jews.
In a cordon within a cordon, President Isaac Herzog and his wife embraced the survivors of December 14.
And how are you healing?
He offered Israel's solidarity with Australia and a warning.
Anti-Semitism here in Australia is not a Jewish problem. It is an Australian problem and a global problem. Over the generations, one thing has become clear. Hatred that starts with the Jews never ends with the Jews. This is why the current rise in anti-Semitism around the world is a global emergency, and we must all act to fight against it.
Emma and her family were at the Hanukkah celebration targeted by terrorists. Today is just the second time she's been back to the scene of the attack.
Bondi is our home. You know, this is like coming home. This is where we live. This is where we rejoice. This is where we sing and dance and swim and survive.
She's been surprised at the personal impact of the president's visit.
It actually makes me feel that we're not alone. It makes me feel that we're part of something bigger, and listening to his warmth and his kind words about the Australian Jewish population and the Australia itself and how we can salvage the relationship makes me feel very optimistic.
The tight security around the president isn't only because of the threat of another terror attack. It's also because of the inevitability of protests, with a series of events around the country targeting his visit.
To say that war criminals are not welcome here, to say that Isaac Herzog should be arrested and investigated for his role in inciting genocide in Gaza, and to send a clear message to the world that even if our leaders roll out the red carpet for genocide, the people will not stand for it.
The UN-backed International Criminal Court has issued war crime indictments against the leaders of both Israel and Hamas, but not against Mr. Herzog. The president rejects the protesters' allegations of genocide.
These demonstrations, in most cases, what you hear and see, comes to undermine and delegitimize our right, my nation's right, the nation which I am the head of state of its mere existence, and is contradictory to whatever ever was said and done by Australia.
How can they be protesting the president of Israel coming to Australia to console the Jewish community? It makes no sense to me. Why are people doing it? Do people themselves understand why they're protesting?
I oppose Mr Albanese having invited him, and I oppose Mr Minns invoking these laws to try and prevent people like me from quietly and peacefully expressing their views on an important public issue.
Top Sydney lawyer Geoffrey Watson attended the protest to express his opposition to new federal and state laws targeting so-called hate speech and placing far greater restrictions on protesters.
There was kind of mishmash of confusing legislation, and it doesn't work out. It shows all the hallmarks of being rushed, poorly thought through, and utterly unplanned.
Adam Harvey joins me now from the protest in Sydney. Adam, can you describe what's happening around you now?
Well, the main part of the protest is over now, Sarah. We've got smaller groups that are, I suppose, pushing towards the fringes of this box that we're in at Sydney's Town Hall. In the last few minutes, people have, I suppose, taken the light rail line, which is the protesters had originally planned to move up to Parliament House, but so far they're just staying here in this block. It has been a very peaceful protest until now, with a little bit of argy-bargy, I think, as people express their frustration at being boxed into this zone, about not being able to move up to where they'd originally planned to go.
So explain that, Adam. Obviously the protesters lost their challenge in court this afternoon. What impact did that have on the nature of the protest?
Well, I suppose it made it much less fluid than the protesters had wanted. The protest organisers had wanted to be able to move to Parliament House to, I suppose, be a little bit more disruptive, to make their presence felt. They haven't been able to do that because of this court decision today. They face the prospect of much bigger fines if they do move outside of this area that's been reserved for protesters. So yeah, the effect of those rules is to make these protests less fluid, less dynamic.
And Adam, when you're talking to people attending the protest, what do they tell you about why they are there, what they're hoping this protest will achieve?
Well, this is a pro-Palestine protest. I mean, that's very clear. That's the main message. It's a protest against the presence of Israel's president here in Sydney, but also an expression of frustration at these new protest laws that are making things like this much more difficult to hold. So there are two elements here. It's as you can hear, the frustration, the anger at inviting the Israeli president here, and the change in these protest laws.
And just, Adam, can you tell me what that language is they're using there? I can't hear it perfectly clearly.
Oh, it's that war criminals aren't welcome here. They say that President Herzog is a war criminal and he should be arrested. Now that would be very difficult to do since there aren't any charges from the ICC against Herzog. But that's the call anyway.
Adam, Harvey, thanks very much for the update. I appreciate it.